still difficult to fathom how lucky we Spider fans got it with Insomniac's Spider-Man in 2018. After the decline of movie-based games, Marvel started treating their licenses as something they could adapt to games first. The same kind of treatment that said licenses get for movies. One of the first fruits of said labor was the best Spider-Man game in ages. Something that can stand up to the comics and movies in being an overall worthy usage of the character. And with its success comes sequels. There was already the half-sequel Miles Morales, which continued to step things up with more interesting gameplay, if the story was a bit nauseating. But they're also making a full-fledged sequel, and I can't help but dream about what I'd love to see in it. Now, I am going to mention some spoilers from the first game, but if you've watched the trailer for Spider-Man 2, you already know practically everything already. So here it is, my completely unchecked hopes and dreams for the next full entry in Insomniac's Spider-Man series. A core part of Spider-Man, particularly Peter Parker, is photography.
For the school paper?
I'm not talking about photo mode, which I think is great and should stick around, but I'm talking about the in-universe photography you perform as Spider-Man.
Magnifique.
In the first game, you can kinda do it in order to take pictures of landmarks and secret photo ops, but it's kinda lacking. There are no camera control options, like not even zoom. And it doesn't save the photos either. Not that you'd want these images in particular, so like, it's fine for the purpose it's filling, but that's the other thing. The purpose. It can be way more. I'm thinking like Dead Rising. A whole exclusive point system with categories and bonuses for getting certain characters performing certain actions. I mean, the dream would be that you're working for Triple J at the Bugle and you're making fat stacks by faking candids of yourself being amazing. You managed to get a photo of Spider-Man in a fantastic brawl with a supervillain? That's a front page! Now, story-wise, this doesn't really make sense because they established Peter quit working for Jameson and Jameson retired from the Bugle. But shut up, let me have this. I don't know, maybe it's flashbacks. Or Peter's just doing some side gigs for the Bugle and now the editor is Betty Brant, I don't know. Or maybe like Bioshock. Taking pictures of supervillains could reveal weaknesses of theirs and inspire new gadgets and upgrades for Peter to build. So now the camera is a gadget that you can throw down and then see the range of, like you can with security cameras in some games. And then you can remotely tilt the direction of the camera and snap a shot when you know your subject is in range. Then you could get upgrades for it to take burst fire shots that you can sift through to find the best one. You could get different lenses for different kinds of shots, and even multiple cameras at a time to make further coverage a breeze. But you have to remember to pick back up your cameras before your web holding it dissolves, or you'll lose the camera and have to buy another one. Oh, and the game establishes that Peter does not write his name on the spider cameras, because he's not an idiot. And if we are missing out on the whole Jameson stuff, maybe the player could be taught how to do the camera stuff by Jessica Jones, who Peter has a friendly rivalry with. That could make for a really fun dynamic. Maybe she gives you hints and tip-offs for cool photo ops, or maybe she could even have her own side quest line where you help her uncover some conspiracy with Peter's suspiciously good photography skills, in which Spider-Man eventually conveniently intervenes and, hell, joins Jessica to take down the conspirator. Now, I know I said the camera should give points, but what I really meant to say was money.
Rent?
Another core element to Peter Parker's life that these games should tap into is cash. Or more so, the lack of it. The first game had this right in terms of plot, but I want to feel that poverty, man. I want it so you start off with a certain amount of money, but as you continue throughout the game, that money is drained into utilities and rent, and you have to pick up odd jobs to make ends meet. Pizza time, anybody? Now this would work perfectly with the whole photography thing. You gotta work to make pictures worthy of printing to get you cash, but also make sure they're not too suspiciously good at the risk of outing your identity. Are you in a fight with a new supervillain? Remember to get his picture before, during, and after kicking his ass. Now we're really living like Spider-Man. You gotta stay on top of bills in order to spend anything on suits or upgrades. Run out of money? Well, Peter's credit is crap, so you take loans as Spider-Man from people who are not afraid to send goons after you in the open world if you miss your deadline. Then at the end of the game, it's like Luigi's Mansion, and it gives you a score based on your net worth, and Peter buys a mansion of correlating value. Here comes another core element of Spider-Man, and with the Symbiote coming into play, This just makes all the more sense to play a big part into the gameplay. As we all know, regular Spider-Man is good, while Black Spider-Man is evil, and when the symbiote crawls up Pete's butt, he starts struggling with his morality, which is a perfect opportunity to have a morality mechanic, like the kind of thing you see in Red Dead Redemption or Infamous.
He doesn't want to be famous, and I'll make him infamous.
I feel like the whole thing about struggling with morality in real life is that it gives you hard enough choices to not even know which one is right, to know which decisions are necessarily good or evil. So I wouldn't want the choices to be so obvious as they are in those other games, or for there to be a big ol' good guy slider. Instead, you find the effects manifest through, of course, the abilities in your symbiote suit. If you give in to your personal anger more, you become stronger as Black Spider-Man. But maybe he starts doing more questionable shit in cutscenes. Of course, some players are gonna love being evil, and that's great. But when time comes to break with the suit, obviously the battle to unbind with it needs to be more difficult the more you leaned into the symbiote suit while you had it, giving a sensical but also gameplay relevant punishment for playing into the symbiote more. Then, if and when you're acting evil, you also have to take into account your reputation. Hell, maybe you could try and twist the narrative by getting some good guy photos taken, or lean into it and announce your new motherfuckery mode to the world. Either way, this will change how the public sees you. Instead of people coming up for selfies, people will run for their lives. Maybe even during missions, pedestrians will help you if they like you, or even hurt you if they don't. Remember, this is New York.
You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us!
But maybe a bad reputation could even get you help from criminals. The biggest thing with this morality and reputation thing, though, is they shouldn't be necessarily intertwined. It'd be great if there were actually one or two major story decisions where doing the right thing actually turns people against you. Cause that is some real Spider-Man shit right there. The idea of regular citizens, goons, and police characters all acting differently based on your behavior as a player would be so much more immersive and engaging. Pedestrians involving themselves in battles by throwing rocks and trash at you because they think you're the bad guy, or at the villain to help you out, would be so fucking cool. And the symbiote becoming more powerful based on how much of an asshole you want to be would be so fun, and add a bunch of replayability to the game. Okay, so I know there's stealth gameplay in both Spider-Man and Miles Morales, but if the game has to rely on telling you whether it's safe to perform a takedown, then you don't even have to pay attention, and the system ultimately fails the player. I hate to do this, but compare this to the Batman Arkham games. I know Batman is more suited for stealth situations, but hell, Spider-Man can crawl on the ceiling. Batman can't do that! I almost feel like the 2001 Spider-Man movie game had better stealth than Insomniac's. Maybe if these stealth situations happened more often in interiors, it would make for more engaging scenarios where you can use lighting and sound to your advantage. Maybe your reputation can impact how scared they are of you as well. And guess what? Symbiote suit will make stealth even easier, but also more evil. Okay, so the swinging in the existing games is good. But, like, sometimes I just look around and think, man, I wish I could just look at a point, tether myself to a surface and jump, and just watch me go. And then cut that tether and shoot another one. It's a lot more automated, and I get that, like, that's more accessible. But it'd just be so satisfying to have manual, physics-based swinging, even just as an option. Like, I swear, even in some of the time trials in Miles Morales, even then I was wishing I was more in control, to take the guesswork out of where my webs were gonna go. And this is a moment favoring speed, which the more accessible option should be better for, in theory. And then when it comes to interior situations, well, shit. Then you can really take your time, and I think it'd be way better to be able to shoot the webs. I don't know. I'd want the original swinging as an option, I guess. Okay, this is a tough one. I know you can currently, like Max Payne, slow time to shoot the shit out of bad guys in midair, But the scene has got to be set to have more distinct battle taking place throughout the skylines of New York. Maybe you can reset your entire center of gravity and run and fight on the side of a building? Maybe you can use your webs to tether shit more compatibly like in Just Cause? Stick that goblin's glider to buildings to slow them down? I don't know, I just hope more moves and upgrades are introduced that revolve around air combat, because it's a pretty vital thing for Spider-Man that didn't get much attention in the previous games. Okay, so we already know Venom and Kraven and some sort of goblin is happening. And probably Wraith. But man, this was felt especially in the original game's DLC. But I hope that missions that aren't necessarily part of the core storyline can still involve, you know, actual interesting characters. We've had enough of D-level crap like Screwball. There are so many great Spider-Man characters, and it just feels like they're holding back on us. Again, I hate to do this, but I replayed Arkham City recently, and man, every single side mission involved a real villain that was interesting and worth giving a shit about. Sometimes only even lasting for a single mission, but they weren't holding back. They gave you the goods! So please, Insomniac, don't hold back on us. Give me Spot! And lastly, Spider-Man 2. 2 Spider-Man. Alright, so Peter and Miles are both coexisting. Seems like a pretty great opportunity to introduce a co-op based Spider-Man game? Maybe? Missions that are based around being able to have 2 people play at the same time? Couch co-op motherfucking Spider-Man time? Shoot webs at each other, swing around each other? Give a kiss? This seems like really pie in the sky. Like, I don't know if this is even possible with the engine they've got, like, but would be pretty freaking sweet. What if you had to fight over the symbiote? Like, gimme that. And then maybe there's a part where Peter becomes evil from the symbiote and Miles has got to fight him, and it's like PvP. Like if you've been playing co-op together, one has to actually fight the other one, and then maybe the story split is based on who wins. Or, I don't know. Maybe you get a bad ending if Peter wins. Yeah, this one I've thought about the least because I just feel like they couldn't possibly. It's impossible. They're not going to do that. That'd be too cool. Right? Yes, probably. I don't know. Do you think co-op is a ridiculous thing to hope for? Am I overhyping myself with unrealistic expectations? Do you think we're actually just gonna get another sequel like Miles Morales, but longer? Tell me your thoughts below. I'd love to see your craziest ideas. And maybe a realistic one you're really hoping for. Any villains you're counting on appearing? If you enjoyed this video, hitting the like would help out. And if you're new, maybe thwip that subscribe button along with the bell. Till next time, webheads, stay sticky.